The Kodiak Island Borough Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting for Wednesday, July 19, 2023 will come to order at 6:30 PM in the Borough Assembly Chambers. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Schmidt,
Here.
Mr. Cross,
Here.
Mr. Van Dyke,
Here.
Ms. Johnson,
Here.
Mr. Neff,
Here.
Mr. Paulson.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Have a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda for the regular Planning and Zoning Commissioners' regular meeting for July 19th, 2023.
I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. That passes unanimously. And we have approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the May 17, 2023 regular meeting minutes?
I move to approve the May 17th, 2023 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. It passes unanimously as well. Item 6, items for discussion. Ordinance FY 2023-20, amending code section 17.160.070, accessory dwelling units, intent and development standards. Okay, this is not on for a public hearing, it's just for discussion. Any commissioners have anything they would like to say about it at this point? Or Seema, do you?
So as promised, we gave you a copy of it written out as we have it today, so that you guys could wordsmith it however you would like and send us anything that you want to put in there for discussion. Staff has now announced it once, but will continue to announce this for the public at the assembly work session and regular meetings as public comment, to get word out that this will be a discussion item until further notice, because I don't know how long it'll take us.
Okay, thank you. Court?
Yeah, I'm finding it really interesting, talking to different people and hearing the input from the mayor and staff and different people and stuff. And then I just started examining in general how we can do better serving the public, especially in things like this. And I think a lot of the complaints that we get from our public is that government isn't really getting anything done. And one person gave a word of wisdom last week about treading lightly, and I think that is a good application here. I do think what the staff came up with initially there for an outline to allow rentals and maintain the parking requirements and everything, I believe it still fits the RR1 code the way we modified it, the way it's kind of been generally accepted, what people have lived. I guess precedence means a lot, and what I saw was once ADUs became approved, personally in my experience and talking to people, is that they didn't look at as, even though the intent was a mother-in-law apartment or a family residence, people tended to look at it as it was a rental potential. And the precedent seems to be established to where we actually put it in the paper. We didn't get any negative response to the idea of expanding it to a rental. But I do feel if we go beyond what is put here, we're getting into where, like, it seems to me we should change the zoning definition. I believe we're still within with the restrictions that are still in place. We're maintaining the integrity of the zoning definition. And we're kind of going with precedence and public sympathy. I mean, there's nobody that came, after announcing the paper so far, it remains to be seen if we continue with this process to see if we get any disgruntled public people, but we have a very big need here. I personally have a hard time separating out the rental from the bed and breakfast. I would like to see both needs be met, but at the same time, what we're trying to address is the public emergency almost that a lot of people feel of rental availability. So I think keeping it simple, what we got here, the parking issue, I do know down south, they have places with no off-street parking and they work it, but we don't have that figured out here. So for us to try to change that sort of thing at this point, I feel would be not responsible for our service districts and our government in general until they have a plan of how to deal with that idea at all. Even though that was mentioned, and I'd be all for it if there was a workable situation possibly in public support. I think by keeping it simple, moving this forward, we got an ability to do a quick response to a definite need right now. I think if we try to do with our ideals, every one of us, and try to get a perfect thing, what we want individually, we'll start getting away from maybe the general main public need, and also we'll be dragging it out a lot farther. I guess that's about all I got to say right now, anyways.
Thank you. Anyone else? Paul, go ahead.
I guess I have a question for process as far as, this is just an item for discussion tonight. If there are changes, would you like to see them brought forward in the next work session?
Yeah, that would be good.
I-
If you have,
I volunteered to do some wordsmithing, so
Yeah.
I can do that and bring that to staff to put in the packet for the next,
that would be good and appreciated. Thank
okay,
you.
thanks.
One comment, if you look at line 86, this is in the existing code, it says, "The owner of the property shall live in the principal dwelling or the ADU." Part of the discussion when this was going through before, and we actually had one case come to us from out in the Bells Flats, people that have lived in Kodiak basically all their work life, but they're getting to retirement age, they want to continue to maintain a presence in Kodiak, but also maybe travel, or they have a home someplace else, they go to visit in the winter months. But in any event, somebody could take, they had lived in the main residence, build an ADU, that ADU becomes their new residence, and then they rent the big structure, and it provides them with some income. So, that was identified, and it is an approved use, if you will, right now.
Okay.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, Chairman Schmidt, to that point, I guess, I wasn't sure exactly where you were going with that. I'm a big proponent of the owner living in either the principal unit or the ADU to that extent. I guess in a very maybe narrow-minded, strict interpretation of this, would you say that the owner must live in the ADU and would not be allowed to snowbird, but must stay in the ADU?
I don't think there was any, limits put on their right to travel.
And so my follow-up to that is that maybe if, again, to that point, that if the owner did live in the ADU and had the principal dwelling rented out for a extended period of time, and they decided to snowbird over the winter months, that they probably shouldn't rent the ADU out, creating more of a duplex style situation where the owner was not even present on the property.
Right. I think that's certainly the intent, that they not rent both the principal dwelling and the ADU, but
I mean,
Well,
we
with
don't,
the
we really can't,
Airbnb
we really
thing,
can't
yeah.
enforce that. We don't
Yeah,
have a
right.
mechanism to enforce that. But, I'm listening to you, and I just prompted some questions, so.
Okay. All right. Anything else from anyone? All right, well, then it's beyond the work session agenda for next month. Go ahead, Seema.
Okay, so I just want one thing clear. It was not staff's recommendation that we take out the stuff in red. That came from the commission. Staff does not want to make ADUs intended use as transient housing. Nor does staff want to allow two-family residents in a single-family residential zoning district. So I just want to make that clear, that we only changed that because that was the request of the commission.
And that's what kind of originally brought it.
Yeah, but,
Good.
yeah.
Okay. All right, well, let's move on then to citizens' comments. They are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Local number 486-3231, toll-free number 855-492-9202. Comments are for general topics only. Appears we have no citizens' comments, so we'll move to public hearings. And in this area as well, citizens' comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and comments for that specific item only. The first one is case number S 23-013. The applicant, Mill Bay Investments, Ed and Cami Mahoney. They request a vacation of lots 23 and 24, Block 1, Air Park Subdivision, Plat 1964-14, U.S. Survey 1396, creating Lot 23A, Block 1, Air Park Subdivision, U.S. Survey 1396. We have a motion on the floor already for this case, and it is move to grant preliminary approval of the vacation of Lot 23 and Lot 24, Block 1, Air Park Subdivision, Plat 1964-14, U.S. Survey 1396, and replat to Lot 23A, Block 1, Air Park Subdivision, U.S. Survey 1396, Kodiak Recording District, Kodiak, Alaska, until the easement for Lot 22 is recorded and shown on preliminary plat. Additionally, the following corrections should be updated on the preliminary plat before submitting to the Community Development Department for approval at the regular meeting of June 21, 2023. The conditions of approval were: the applicant must apply for zoning compliance for parking for Lot 22, Block 1, Air Park, aka 1615 Mill Bay Road. The subdivision name shall be corrected to Air Park, KIBC 16.50.020-1010. The plat description should state that this is a vacation of lots 23 and 24 and replat to Lot 23A. All references to the addresses and tax ID numbers shall be removed. The surveyor's certificate shall follow KIBC 16.50.050C for surveying and remove all verbiage referencing as built. The final plat must be submitted for a courtesy final review before final plat is printed for recording. The applicant must provide updated preliminary plat to Community Development Department no later than May 31, 2023. I'd like to note that the regular meeting of June 21, 2023 was canceled due to a lack of quorum. So could we have a staff report, please?
Before you is case S 23013. Mr. Mahoney has paid careful attention to all conditions that were listed in the report since April. With the new preliminary plat that Mr. Mahoney provided, most of the original conditions have been met. The quitclaim deed he provided to CDD staff includes verbiage that for the additional lots and takes care of the recorded document issue that staff had. Staff is recommending approval of the subdivision, and if approved, will consider the zoning compliance for Lot 22 to be fulfilled and will sign off on it, and is asking for the commission to amend the motion to grant the approval of preliminary plat with the two conditions in your report.
And just thinking we have a proposed new motion here, but this would be substituting this motion for the original motion rather than just amending it? Or
The motion is already on the floor, so it would be ideal to just have someone make an amendment, and then you will open up the public hearing, close the public hearing, allow discussion of the commissioners, vote on the amendment, and then on the main motion as amended.
Mr. Chair, I'm prepared to make that motion.
please proceed.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the current motion on the floor to move to grant preliminary approval of the vacation of Lot 23 and Lot 24, Block 1, Air Park Subdivision, Plat 1964-14, U.S. Survey 1396, Kodiak Recording District, Kodiak, Alaska, and replat to Lot 23A, Block 1, Air Park Subdivision, U.S. Survey 1396, Kodiak Recording District, Kodiak, Alaska, with the following conditions of approval. The new preliminary plat must go through agency review, number one, and then number two, the final plat must be submitted for a courtesy review before final plat is printed for recording, and adopt the finding of fact for case S23-013 listed in the staff report dated July 12th, 2023.
You have a second?
Second.
Thank you. So do we get another staff report at this point, or do we just, well, I guess I'll close the, Mr. Van Dyne.
I would like to add an additional condition to the approval.
So then you need to move to amend the amendment.
I'm happy to do that. I was waiting to see if there's any discussion on the original amendment. So I'll move to amend the amendment to add the following condition of approval to the title block and add, as it says, replat to Lot 23A, Air Park Block 1 subdivision. I'd like to add the words, "and creating a parking easement for Lot 22."
Yeah. Is there a second to that?
I'm sorry, I was daydreaming, I forgot, I didn't catch what he said.
Would you read it again, please?
You bet. I'd like to move to amend the conditions of approval to add a condition that says, "and creating a parking easement for Lot 22 in the title block for this preliminary plat."
Is anyone interested in seconding?
Can we ask a question?
We could second it for discussion if.
I'll second it.
Okay. So we have
You can
this
vote
on the
against it
floor.
if you want.
And we just have a question of staff before we go too far, and I don't, and isn't there in the packet a copy of a recorded document already that creates the easement?
So the
Yes.
recorded document for the quitclaim deed is for Lot 22, calling out that Lot 23 or 23A, when it's redone, will have 2 parking spaces. And in this current plat, it's not recorded as an easement, it is a note. And if you'll look at note number 3, I printed this for you guys like 7 times. I was hoping we could save a tree. So then that would mean that this preliminary plat would have to go back to the drawing board. He'd have to create an easement instead of creating it in the note.
The final plat could reflect this. It wouldn't need to be redrafted as a preliminary. The reason for doing this is, the reason for my suggestion is that with the final plat, if somebody's looking for documentation in the recorder's office, if this language is in that title block, the recorder's office will flag it as this document related to Lot 22. The easement, the physical easement, or the document that Mr. Mahoney provided that created the easement, the written agreement will show for Lot 22, but the drawing of the plat would not show for Lot 22 because Lot 22 is not referenced in the title block. By adding this language, this document would also show up in a search for Lot 22, and that's my justification for adding this.
Okay.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, Commissioner Van Dyke, but in the drawing, if you look, it says it specifically notes the parking space 1 and 2 for lot 22. To me, that seems to be sufficient. I mean, this document will follow.
I have no question what's drawn in there. It's just the title block language that would be flagged in the recorder's office. So I'm not suggesting that he change anything about the drawing or even change anything about the language in the notes, but just the fact that the parking easement is noted in the title block will create it as a searchable document for lot 22.
And maybe it's the word easement that we should, because you can say, and creating parking for lot 22 and not call it
Well,
an easement.
an easement is an encumbrance, and whether or not they use the word easement on the drawing or not, it is a type of encumbrance. And that's the language that's most familiar on plats, as we talk about utility easements or driveway access easements or other types of property encumbrances.
Chris, go ahead.
So, reading through this, I know staff has worked with the applicant extensively, and we've been going back and forth on this few months. So, doing a last-minute change is, and I'm sure your reasons are very valid, but I'd have to look into it, and I trust you. It would kind of delay my decision to vote on this if we're adding things at the last minute. So I would not want to add anything at this moment.
Oh,
This has actually been on the books since March.
just like to note, yeah, it's in the packet at page 24, the quitclaim deed that makes references to both lots 22 and 23, and it includes the 2 dedicated parking spaces for the benefit of lot 22, located on lot 23. So, yeah, from my perspective, I think there is enough in the record, and the recorder's office, they flag stuff, but it's title companies that actually get down into the nitty-gritty and say what it might. So I will not be voting in favor of the amendment that's on the floor right now. Any other discussion on the motion to amend the amendment? We have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Chair, you actually need to open up the public hearing
On
before
the motion to amend, okay.
the motion with the amendments, yes.
All right, so we'll close the regular meeting and open the public hearing for, can we open it up for, well, let's just deal with the amendment to amend.
I would state the call-in number, just in case there's anybody listening.
The local number 486-3231, the toll-free number 855-492-9202. Please, as you are doing, step to the podium, sign in, and turn the microphone on, state your name.
My name is Scott Arndt. I feel the applicant has come a long ways. I disagree with the Second Amendment. Go for the First Amendment and move this on. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further citizen comments, or? You got somebody on the phone, all right?
We're now answering a call from the queue.
Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting. Please state your name for the record.
Thank you.
Can you hear us?
Yes, hello?
Hello, can you please turn off your radio? There's a lot of feedback
Yeah,
coming
well,
through.
I thought you were talking to someone else. This is Ed Mahoney, and I worked with the title company to make sure that it would pop up on searching for either lot. And I think an amendment to the amendment there at this late hour is rather frustrating, and anyways, I'd like to move this on. So that's my comment. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mahoney. Any other comments from the public? Well, then close the public hearing, reopen the regular meeting for any further commission discussion on the motion to amend the amendment. In hearing none, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Van Dyke?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
No.
Mr. Paulson?
No.
Mr. Schmidt?
No.
Mr. Cross?
No.
Motion fails 4-2.
So that brings us back to the main motion to amend. And I will close the regular meeting and open the public hearing on that.
There's no need to open up the public hearing again. We opened up the public hearing with the 2 amendments on the floor as well as the main motion.
Very well.
So at this point, you can call for a vote on the amendment.
Well, there may be further commission discussion.
Yes.
So we'll go that way first. Go back and we'll make clear we're in the regular meeting. Any further commission discussion on the pending motion to amend? Does everybody understand what it is? Okay, we have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Van Dyke?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mr. Paulson?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. That brings us down to ordinance number FY 2023-19, amending Kodiak Island Borough Code Section 17.
Chair?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
we got to vote on the main motion as amended.
Oh, all right. So let's back up. We have the main motion that's been now amended. Have a roll call vote, please.
So just for clarification, the motion that was originally on the floor has now been amended. That is what you are currently voting on. So the motion that the chairperson stated at the beginning with the amendments that Mr. Kent made, that is what you're currently voting on. Okay. Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Cross,
Yes.
Mr. Van Dyke,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Paulson.
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes 6-0.
All right. Now we go to ordinance FY 23-19, amending Kodak Island Borough Code Section 17.175.050 off-street parking location. Need to get a motion on the floor for this one? No? No. Somebody already has? No. That was my question, if we needed a motion. So, could we get a motion to approve ordinance FY 2023-19, please?
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number FY 2019-20, isn't
No, 23-19.
it? 23-19, I'm sorry.
I second it.
All right. We have a staff report, please?
This ordinance will add definition to the parking requirements laid out in KIBC 17-175-050, and we'll make it so that we can avoid the problems with parking compliance on different lots, just like the one we had in the case of Mr. Mahoney right before us. So it's just clarifying everything, the way that the commission and the borough code should be, so to avoid any further parking issues.
Any questions for staff? All right, well, I will then, I guess, close the regular hearing on this one, open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to comment? Phone number 907-486-3231, toll-free number 855-492-9202. Appears that we have no comments, so close the public hearing, reopen the regular meeting. Any commission discussion? that we don't, so we have a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mr. Paulson?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Cross?
Yes.
Mr. Van Dyke?
Yes.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Motion passes 6-0.
All right, moving down, we don't have any old business, don't have any new business, no case result letters, no abbreviated and final plat approval, so director's comments.
Tomorrow is I just have these, okay, so tomorrow is the special meeting that the mayor invited you guys to last week. We all appreciate if you would show up. It is at 5 p.m.
5 to 6.
tomorrow, so here, yep. And the new director still is starting August 21st. So when he comes, please stop by and see him, because he won't be at a meeting until September.
Why not August? What,
Because he's gonna get here after the regular meeting,
no, not the 21st of July, the 21st of August. Yeah,
August
okay.
21st. Yep. Yeah, not tomorrow. That's all I have.
All right. Brings us down to citizens' comments. Limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Local number 907-486-3231. Toll-free number 855-492-9202. Comments are for general topics only. Appears that we have no comments, so commissioners' comments. Mr. Van Dyke, I'd like to start us tonight.
No comment?
Mr. Cross?
Yeah, I just want to let everyone know that I'm going to, hopefully I'm going to be able to make the meetings in the future. The worst part of the job that I have over on Afognak is getting back and forth. And I couldn't have made, even if I would have, there's no way I could have made the June meeting because of weather. So it ended up being canceled for lack of quorum. But anyway, I'm going to do make more of an effort to make it to these, maybe come in a couple of days early and that type of thing. So, because I value the experience, and I want to continue doing it. So thank you for your patience.
Sure thing. Thank you. Mr. Neff?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that I think keeping it simple as far as the ADU ordinance is a good way to go to minimize what we need to do for change to create more rentals and make it legal. At this point, I think there's a lot of illegal people already, and it wouldn't make any sense to go enforcing that with the need for rental places. And I just think we could be a lot more responsive and more fluid that way. It doesn't necessarily negate any other comments, other needs that people may have brought up and their opinions on it, but I think that's something that if we did it this way versus trying to do it all at once, what we want or what we think is best, not to say that it may not be, or, not to, it's just going to drag things out, but we can, as the public need arises, we'll get opportunities to address those things later on. So, and then it could be addressed quickly, more quickly, I believe, little increments at a time versus in the end, and efficiently versus trying to redo the whole thing. That's kind of what I came to my convictions personally after thinking about it over the week, and being responsive. I think it would be a huge appreciation from the public versus the way government normally moves. So anyway, that's all I got.
All right, thank you. Mr. Paulson?
Just grateful that we're getting a community development director. I know, Seema, you've been torn between 2 jobs, so I'm excited for you to be able to focus more on your other job.
Mr. Johnson? No comment. All right. Well, yeah, it was nice to have the full group here tonight for first time in a long time, and, I was out a little bit. Yeah, I encourage, I have another obligation tomorrow night, but I did go to a previous training Mr. Brant Erickson did. I recommend each commissioner that can make it to come tomorrow evening. It's just an hour, but it's helpful information for parliamentary procedure. So, with that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed, say nay. So we will adjourn then at 7:05 PM. Thank you.
So are we missing a